Introduction. A brief history lesson. Alexander of Macedonia, Alexander the Great, and his warhorse Bucephalus. Alexander the Great of Macedonia was a Greek Macedonian king born on or about July 20th, 356 BC. The day of his birth was, in fact, the same day that the famed temple of Artemis at Ephesus was burned. Alexander ruled Macedonia for about 13 years. He ruled Egypt as pharaoh for 9 years, as king of Asia for 8 years, and king of Persia, modern Iraq, for 7 years. He died on June 11th, 323 BC at age 32 in Alexandria, Babylonia, of a sudden fever. King Alexander received tutoring from the Greek philosopher Aristotle and was highly educated. The young king firmly established Greek rule throughout the territories he conquered. Alexander did not see the results in his lifetime. However, his influence ushered in an age of enlightenment that still lingers today in the region through the religious and cultural heritage of its various tribal people. Later, envious Romans set their sights on Alexander's conquests. Some thought so highly of him that they affected mannerisms and dress to emulate the Macedonian king. Some sources believe that Caligula even went so far as to rob Alexander's grave to wear his breastplate. Alexander ascended the throne of Macedonia at about the age of 20 when his father, Philip, was assassinated. Alexander then cut a swath across the landscape that united civilized and tribal areas. He took Egypt and Libya to the south. Macedonian forces claimed all lands surrounding the eastern Mediterranean Sea, then further east into Assyria, Babylonia, Persia, Iran, Iraq, before Alexander cut north as far as Bactria, the southern nomadic steppe country of Russia. Lastly, Alexander and his men pushed southeast into lands covering present-day Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. His military tactics are still studied in modern warfare because King Alexander of Macedonia is one of history's most successful military commanders and administrators. As a young man, he showed a fondness for intellectual and scientific pursuits. He studied the medical arts. In addition, he supported the performing arts and music and was known to enjoy running, hunting, and cudgel play. Early in his life, Alexander was said to have temperance of the body and moderation. He was also said to be addicted to drinking, quick to anger, and was ruthless to his enemies, although generous in victory. Later in life, the king became more prone to excess. However, according to the historian Plutarch, Alexander never settled for the mere enjoyment of wealth and luxury, but instead preferred action and glory rather than to have an inactive life. The young king was a brilliant tactician with the ability to think on his feet and a habit of repeatedly snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. However, Alexander's success in battle was greatly attributed to his warhorse, Bucephalus. Alexander loved the horse more than any man or woman, and the big stallion was Alexander's best friend. However, as ruthless as Alexander was known to be, Bucephalus was hated by everyone. The horse was vicious and unpredictable, known not only for his ability to be Alexander's extra weapon in battle, kicking and biting enemy soldiers to death. He was also dangerous to his handlers. Bucephalus was known to kill careless grooms or anyone except Alexander who came too close. Even Alexander's warriors were terrified of him, and some called him a demon horse and man-eater. Guards were posted on Bucephalus at all times, not only to protect the horse, but to protect anyone who came near. Bucephalus was said to be very beautiful. He was taller than other Macedonian horses. He was also well built, with a large head and bloodlines of the very best mix of Thessalian racing stock and Oriental, Arabian horses. These were originally gifted to the Macedonians by King Xerxes to improve their racehorses. In color, he was black with a red cast to his coat, probably a black bay judging from frescoes, with a large white star. Like Alexander himself, Bucephalus had one blue eye and one brown eye. There is some disagreement as to why Alexander called him Bucephalus, Bucephal in Macedonian, which means ox head. Some writers think it was his stubborn nature. Still others think it was descriptive of his head shape, likely due to Arabian breeding, and large white face mark or perhaps the breeder's ox-shaped brand, which identified his breeding origin. The horse's legend grew with his successes. For 16 years, Bucephalus faithfully carried Alexander through battle after battle from Macedonia to India. According to most historical accounts, the horse fought in numerous campaigns and eventually died of old age and battle wounds at age 30. Alexander would remount his soldiers on fresh horses when urgency and speed were required, but keep Bucephalus for his superior speed, stamina, and fighting ability. They once went 400 miles in 11 days in rugged, difficult terrain with a hard-running battle at the end of the journey. The Anubis of Alexander by Arrian. It's no wonder that Bucephalus gained a reputation for being unnatural. Within this book, I chose seldom revealed portions of history of Alexander and his horse to tell. I decided, as Plutarch did, to focus on the character of Alexander and Bucephalus. This method is to explain the nature of their bond. I believe this is to be more fun for the reader than a dry conversation about their battles and exploits. It puts actual history in the context of the people who were there. How did they feel? What did they think? What made them tick? What relevance do they have now? And what can they teach us today? While history is truly in the past, it makes us who we are. It keeps humanity's success and failures alive in our memory for new times and new lives. This book is our story, from historical accounts and as I remember it.